So the other man was pulling the. I didn't show anything or whatever. I just didn't want to have my cleavage too far down. But the other man was leaving me um in the motel and not answering the phone. So he was doing the same abuse tactics, and that's why I was like, oh, this is a net that they laid privily for me. Another thing is starving me. So right now it's about 3 a.m. I have a way to get food on my card, but the men they bring me to the motel and then try to have me without a key in a room where they claim they got for me, and then that I can't go in and out to get food. So right now, um, toting that bag around with me, I can't just leave all my valuables in a room where I'm forced to leave the door cracked, and somebody could come in here and just take all my stuff. And the nearest food place, I would have to go to the grocery store in order to get some food. And like when I got food the last time at the other room that I was at, um, when I said that they did all this from the jail also they could sex traffic me, um, I put food a little bit, you know, like something. It wasn't like cooking food or anything, but just like even snacks I had to leave. Like they have this little plot to where they want to have me to where I can't even have snacks. So it's like you're forcing me to leave my food behind and not be able to carry my food. And I'm pregnant, so this is why I need to keep telling that they are Satanists, but and that they are murderers at that. Because if you want to try to hope you can get away with abusing a pregnant woman, hoping that the baby just die inside of her, you are a fucking murderer. You know, and you know exactly what you're doing. Um, oh, it's just so much, y'all. It's just so much. But that's where I left off on my last video because my storage was full. And Marcus was doing the same thing. I believe somebody was putting him up to it. I believe somebody was putting all these men up to targeting me and then trying to stage altercation. To me, with Marcus, it seemed like he was just trying to do whatever he could to try to have me on the streets. It's like whatever plot that they trying to do with my life. God said that they was trying to murder me in Texas, and that the police was involved with these black women and black men. They knew that the police wanted to murder me about my baby, and they basically was setting me up with the KKK in Texas. And God had told me when I was with Lamarcus Sanders, and Lamarcus Sanders staged for me to have to sleep in his truck with him when I had somewhere where I had been living with him in a house, and him and the women in the house were trying to stage stuff, and they was in there trying to fight me, and literally trying to set up arguments. And Lamarcus kept coming back trying to sneak set up an argument, and I started exposing it because I was like, nah, this is evil, and God kept showing me they spirits. And then the Lord had said, Andrea, if you feel the need to call 911 on any of these police officers that bother you while you with Lamarcus Sanders, he was like, pick up the phone and call 911. Tell the 911 operator that these police officers are bothering you, and that you're afraid for your life, and that you've been tested for COVID. Because at the time they was trying to say that people couldn't get into shelters and things like that. And these police officers, the Lord was showing me that they was trying to lie, and they wanted a way to try to take me somewhere alone and try to do things to me to cover up my pregnancy. And there was people that was even willing to try to make me sick. They kept turning down the air conditioning in the house real like to the very low, and then I was getting real cold. And if when you get real cold, like you freezing where you can develop these symptoms like you sick. And when I noticed that they was doing that, I wanted to know what was going on, and God had told me. God was like, Lily Morris and them are trying to make you sick in the house to try to make it seem like you got COVID, so that these police officers can falsely lie and say that you got COVID, so they can take you somewhere to a facility and you will never be seen again. And then I saw my very curly brown hair. The Lord showed me, like, because I like to wear my wigs, but of course underneath I have natural hair. And then God had showed my light brown natural hair and how skinny my body was. And the God said this is because they gave her son away. He said this is about a case where they gave your son away when he was 3 years old. That Judge Tracy Gilbert illegally gave your little boy away to this white woman, and they over here trying to kill you because of your son, because you telling the story and you trying to get him back. So this is why these black women is setting you up. This is why these black men is setting you up. This is why these the country is basically, he was showing that I have been tested for COVID. So God did show that whatever it was real, but at the same time, God was showing that there are police officers and people in the system that will try to use that to try to do something to me at the time. And I had been tested for it. And God was like, you don't have to go anywhere with nobody. I don't care what they're trying to pull on you. Call 911. Because this is about your case where they gave your son away. And God said when he was 3 years old. And I went back and I looked at the time frame that it was that they gave my baby away to Cynthia O'Vera. Because when I went into the jail for protecting us, he was 22 months old. I was in jail for 2 months. He turned 2. So while I was in the jail for the 10 months, pregnant, being starved, and denied medical care, they when they finally realized that they wasn't gonna win and they were gonna have to like let me go, they set it up to try to abuse me by trying to keep my son from me when I got out, knowing that my son is my world, as a form of abuse. And God showed me in the spirit that a white sheriff woman from the police department that worked at the jail in Conroe, Texas, at the Montgomery County Jail, that he showed me her telling me that they was trying to hope that I would commit suicide. They was trying to do whatever they could that was wicked, and they know that the boy is all that I want. So, and they know how much I love him. Austin was abusing my little boy when I heard him. And they was back there trying to murder me in the jail cell, trying to cover it up and trying to cover up my pregnancy. And then when I got out, they had set it up to, while I was in the jail, they sued me for custody of my son, which is really illegal because it's illegal. It's illegal. God said it was illegal what they did. And he said that that's why the black women in Texas was trying to set me up with the police to be murdered, because he said that it's over a case about my 3-year-old son. They gave away my son. So I spent 10 months in the jail. And so my baby was like 2 months. My baby was August 2019 was when I got released. I had spent 10 months in there. My baby was about to be 3 years old. So they tried to sue me for custody of the baby while I was incarcerated on the charges for protecting myself. God was like, you're not guilty of these charges. And he was like, they shouldn't even have arrested you. That's what God said. And God was like, he the governor, he the one who know all the law. So he was like, ain't no y'all gonna just do stuff to somebody and then think that God gonna sit back and let y'all lie to me and tell me I was guilty for protecting me and my baby. And God was like, if these black men try to check you when you get out of jail and try to get all up in your face talking about why you hurt the white boy, why you do it, he said you puff your chest up and you get in his face and tell him I was protecting myself. So ain't no I gotta explain nothing to you. And so I already knew what I was dealing with. And then God had showed me that these gangs of black people are really racist. that they will do anything for white people, and that's pretty much what their whole gang is really about. You know what I'm saying? That's the big secret, is that y'all do everything to try to be white, and y'all do everything to try to act like you not really a part of your people unless y'all trying to follow after them. You know what I'm saying? And so they the system, you got the white gangs, and they are behind the police department and all the laws and things like that, and then you have the black gangs, and they should never have involved gang members. And first of all, the white people should never have done any gang shit, you know what I'm saying, trying to cover up my evidence and doing that's racist gang shit. Like, you can say what you want to say, but this is why I was like, there is no place for me and my children in this society when they're in gangs, because of their ethnicity and religious beliefs, because they denounce Jehovah and they denounce Jesus Christ in order to be in these gangs. Satan is over all of them. And I had to realize that when I was in the back of the jail being set up. And so my lawyer, Inga Chandler, and I kept seeing her in the spirit, and God was showing me like she not really even doing everything she supposed to be doing for Andrea while she back here, and they back here starving her and her baby and denying her medical care. And so the detective had came to me already and told me that it was the fault of the Conroe Police Department and that it wouldn't have to go to trial. And then that night, the police took me into a cell and put something in my drink. When they served the trays, somebody put something in my food or my drink, and it started making the floor move and all of this all kind of stuff, like when you've been drugged. And then they took me out of the room and they stripped me of all my clothes and they put a camera on me. And I said, and these white women was filming me, like trying to make me look like I was violent after they had drugged me, because the police didn't want to let me go. And they wanted to try to stage it to make it look like I was some crazy woman in the jail that had hurt somebody, even though the detective had already just said that he knew it was the fault of the police, and he was shaking like he was scared because they had kept me back there for a minute and they kept denying my pregnancy, and they was, already setting it up to try to murder me back there. And he was a white man, and he already know the system, and he already know what they was doing to me. And he wasn't gonna come out and just say it, but he was like, he did come out and say, this is the fault of the Conroe Police. He was like, this shouldn't even have to go to trial. And then he was looking like he was shaking, and I heard a police officer behind the door like he was trying to intimidate him from even telling me that he knew the truth about my evidence to my case, because the Black Freemasons and these Eastern Star Witches women, the people who run this world, they was trying to cover up the evidence to my case, because they was like, oh, a black woman shot a gun, but we need to try to punish her. But at the same time, he was hurting her and she's pregnant, and we know the evidence, but we need to try to abuse this woman in the back of the jail and try to kill her or charge her anyway. And God was showing me, he was like, around the time that they was around the time where they drugged me and all that stuff, like I kept screaming in the jail and asking for a baby, for a doctor, and they started poisoning everything, especially the more that I asked for medical care. They was opening up my commissary and putting spraying and stuff and doing all kind of stuff to my food and drinks, and then trying to intimidate me, keep coming around my cell, and like they gonna try to come in my cell. Guards kept trying to act like they was gonna come in my cell. And then I kept seeing in the spirit, God kept showing me that I was starving because they refused to give me any extra food, and then was doing stuff to the little bit that I was getting to where I couldn't really eat it, and I was starving. And God was showing me like the baby's spirit, my spirit slipping away, the baby's spirit slipping away, like he was feeding me from heaven in the cell. And my ribs started like showing, and my bones in my body. I don't want to talk about it. Like, that shit made me want to cry, because it hurts to be with a child and to be starving. That shit hurts like a motherfucker. And I kept seeing like a vision. I seen a vision of me giving birth to this little bitty tiny baby, like a little bitty honey baby, and God was yelling, and he was like, she 8 months, and that baby the size of the palm of her hand. And then I was crying because they was like having little celebrations where they was eating pizza and all kind of stuff, and then knowing I was back there pregnant and doing stuff to my food, so I was starving, and God was like, I was crying to God. I was like, God, look at my stomach. I was like, and I said that my pelvis is already spreading. I was like, God, get them for this, get them for this. And it was a bunch of white women that was behind it, and they was all eating pizza and laughing, like, ah. Oh, she heard a white man. We kill black babies for white men. Ah, ha, 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 ha. And they was laughing, and then God was calling them witches and saying he was sitting on the hill, and they was saying they didn't care, that they hurt black women and children. So then I knew that black people really don't have rights in this country, and I know that the black people that they killed, they pretty much didn't really have rights like these black organizations try to really make us believe. These black organizations actually do witchcraft, and they have alliances with the United States, which is a satanic government, and they really help them commit murders on black people, and then they try to come out and pretend like they fight against the government to make it seem like they care. But it's really just the entire blood ritual, and they're all getting rich off of it. Um, and that's their alliance. That's what their alliance is. And this country was built off of the blood and suffering of black people, and that's exactly what they're continuing to do. They haven't really changed anything. As you notice, they're raising all of this money off of the deaths of black men and women, and you really have to think, like, why do they continue to murder these people? Why are people like continuing to sit back and want to live in a country where they're doing this? You don't see black people trying to save up their money and sell their house and their car and try to buy them some land somewhere else. You don't see that because these black people in this country have an alliance with white people to not say anything about them killing black people, but to also help them do it and claim that under the almighty dollar that they were justified because they worship the money, they worship the mammon. And so that's what the blacks are doing in the system. And so God was showing me, he was like, Andrea, when they served me with the paperwork to take me to family court, I was still, they let my white baby daddy who was abusing me, they let him sue me for custody of my son, which is litigation abuse. So that's how it started out. While I was in there fighting the charges, they knew I wasn't guilty. They knew I was pregnant. They was back there trying to murder me and cover up the evidence. And God was with me, and they were angry. And so they were like, well, they were going to drop the charges or take me to trial. And God was showing me that they needed to try to cover up that he was abusing me. They was trying to lie. They lied on the police report and didn't say that he abused me. They didn't say that there was a witness that was involved in the physical struggle of him attacking me and my son. They didn't even mention that on the police report. And God was showing me in the spirit when the white woman said that she was gonna try to make me commit suicide. The sheriff lady, or they was gonna try to kill me and say I committed suicide. They was gonna try to say that it's because of my son. And God was showing that they was gonna lie, that they was never gonna tell that there was a gun involved, that they was never gonna tell that God said, this is what God said. God asked the white lady, because he was in the spirit, and God asked the white lady, he was like, so you trying to say Andrea committed suicide? And then the white lady was right there looking, and he asked her in her office. He said, "Was there?" He said, "Who sued her?" So they were gonna try to cover up that I was sued, that they let my baby daddy abuse me. He had the evidence that he was abusing me and my son, and then let him sue me for my son. You can't do that. You cannot force a woman and a child to have any contact in court with the abuser. You're not supposed to do that. You are not supposed to do that. And everybody knew that he came in that restaurant and ran up on me and started attacking me and the baby. Everybody knew that he was attacking me in my home out of prison. Everybody saw him attacking me in the streets in the neighborhood while I was screaming with my baby in my arms, running down the street crying for help. And so, for them to let him sue me, he had only been out of prison for 8 to 10 weeks, and throughout that entire 8 to 10 week period, he was raping me and hitting me while I was pregnant. And so, one thing about a black man is they'll create fake ass evidence on a black man and say that a black man and a black woman did stuff that they didn't do. But then when it's a white man, everybody can see that they will go to hell and back to try to cover up what a white man do to people in the society, and to not make him have to take any accountability for it. So if you look at all of the African Americans who have been killed by white males in this country, white males have not always been held accountable to what they have done to black women, men, and children. So for a lot of these white males to be being charged and stuff like that. My baby daddy went to prison after I called the police when he was abusing me after I gave birth to our son, and there was a lot of issues to where they didn't even really want to charge him for it. They tried to charge him with a probation violation and convicted him for what he was on probation for, but they didn't really want to charge him for what he was doing to me. But that's really the reason why, because that's why the police were called, but he was on probation. So they didn't want to see my baby daddy take no accountability for what he had did. Just like they was trying to defend murderers on trial. They was to get up there and see you kill some. You see a video, you done killed somebody on video, and then they still done spent hundreds of millions of dollars to try to defend. And this is the government, the United States government. Those who the police department got representing them. And these police these white males deliberately kill somebody, and you got the state spending money and having representatives come up there making a damn fool out of themselves trying to defend somebody who was obviously guilty of hurting a black person. And my baby daddy was guilty of hurting a black person, but not just that, a black woman. So they needed to try to say, oh, Andrea, a mental patient. So they drugged me and then tried to film me, trying to make me look crazy. And Jesus Christ jumped in my body when they did that, because I passed out and woke up with purple veins like I had been dead in my skin. And Jesus Christ had jumped in my body. And he talked to the mental health people, and the man was trying to ask me questions after I had been drugged and starved, and I didn't have no water to drink. And the Most High was like, the man tried to come asking me what day it was and all this all kind of stuff. And the Most High was showing they was trying to murder me in the cell. And then he jumped in my body because I started freaking out. I was scared and I started freaking out. And see, when you try to make somebody act like they a mental patient and y'all back there doing stuff to me that you're not supposed to be doing to a person that's being charged but that's on trial, I'm back there like damn near finna go cuckoo, and because they didn't want to tell the truth that he was abusing a woman. So